Trump's brain circuit is really extraordinary because the outside world can't imagine what weird ideas he will come up with next. On the 6th, Reuters quoted several insiders as saying that US President Trump is considering implementing a plan to hit Iran's oil revenue. It is worth noting that the possible measures of this plan include allowing US allies to intercept and inspect ships transporting oil in key sea routes, such as the Strait of Malacca, and impose sanctions and reputation damage on all parties involved in the trade. According to reports, although Iran has been subject to strict sanctions by the United States, Iran's oil export trade can still bring in $53 billion and $54 billion in revenue in 2023 and 2024, respectively, most of which are related to China. In short, Trump intends to block Iran's oil trade with China by setting up checkpoints in important waterways such as the Strait of Malacca, ultimately isolating Iran from the global economy and preventing its nuclear weapons development process. Currently, the Trump administration is studying whether the plan can be used in non-proliferation security. The initiative was launched by then U.S. President George W. Bush in 2003 to prevent the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. More than 100 countries have signed the U.S. initiative. Countries such as China, India, and Mexico have not joined. It should be said that Trump's plan reveals his idea of spending little money to do big things from beginning to end. Intercepting tanker inspections means that the United States does not need to risk sinking ships transporting oil or arresting crew members. Simply obstructing the delivery time can bring uncertainty to Iran's oil trade chain. In addition, according to Reuters' report, another interesting thing about this plan is that it is the United States that has conflicts with Iran and wants to put pressure on Iran, but Trump himself does not go up, but instead instigates allies to send ships to block the Strait of Malacca. Let alone whether other allies of the United States will feel sad after Trump just sold Ukraine and kicked Europe off. Just hearing that the allies blocked the Strait of Malacca shows that the officials who gave Trump advice actually knew what this would cause. As a result, the Strait of Malacca bears the heavy responsibility of about 1/4 of the global crude oil and oil product transportation volume. In the early years, 80% of my country's imported crude oil had to be transported through the Strait of Malacca. This proportion did not decrease until the opening of the China-Myanmar oil and gas pipeline. However, the Strait of Malacca is not only an important energy transportation channel, but also a trade hub between East Asia and countries around the world. More than 120,000 ships have to cross the strait every year, accounting for 1/3 of the global maritime trade volume. So, if Trump blocks the Strait of Malacca and makes so-called obstructions, the impact on Iran's oil trade will definitely not only be on China and Iran, but will also damage the interests of all countries that have trade relations with China. As the saying goes, cutting off someone's financial resources is like killing someone. Considering China's irreplaceable position in the current global trade system, if Trump dares to do this, it will force most countries in the world to stand on the opposite side of the United States. So this is why Trump wants to take the United States out and only calls on allies to participate in intercepting Iranian tankers in the Strait of Malacca, because the United States can't afford it. But as mentioned above, after Trump sold out Ukraine and kicked Europe off, except for a few comprador regimes that love the United States more than Americans, it is unknown how many of the so-called allies of the United States are willing to go through fire and water for the United States. Even to put it bluntly, Trump can't expect the Philippines to intercept Iranian tankers in the Strait of Malacca. Of course, given Trump's usual strange thinking, we can't underestimate the possibility that he will go his own way. If the United States dares to do so, then the People's Liberation Army. The Navy also has reason to go to the Strait of Malacca.